Hey guys, Footy Focus Podcast, episode 31. Shana could join you as usual, followed by Shahan.
Hi everyone, yeah, it's good to be back to do another recap or reviews of a couple of teams. But before that, we'll just quickly touch on some quick AFL news.
Yep, so my team, Port Adelaide, we re-signed Ken Hinkley yesterday, so it's been brewing, I think, since he triggered the extension by making finals. So he's been extended another 2 years till the end of 2023, so that makes him 10 years as coach. I think it's well deserved. I think it doesn't get talked about enough, but the draft strategy at the end of 2018 probably sacrificed some short-term success for the long-term future of the club. Traded out Wingard and Pollock, and got in Brosey, Dersmo and Butters.
Yeah, that sort of saved him. Yeah, if you guys didn't rebound the last couple of years, things would have been wouldn't be there. So. Not a lot of coaches get 10 years, so he'd have to make a prelim again next year.
I mean, that's the thing. I think we obviously won the minor premiership and fell short of a grand final berth, so you'd say it failed in that sense. But it's amazing how one good year can just give a coach a lot of leverage because, I think he's 50-50 in finals, I think, over in probably 3 or 4 finals campaigns so far. So, I think his tenure we ultimately judge if he wins a flag like most coaches, so...
Yeah, so are you happy? Yeah,
I think 2 years are good. I wouldn't want him to get 4 to 5 years like last time, I think, when Gold Coast chased him. So I think 2 years is reasonable.
Yeah, makes sense. Just a bit of stability for the club while their window's opening.
Yeah, 100%. And heard the Saints have a new recruit training with them.
Yeah, it's not a recruit yet, so he's just got permission to train. So Mason Wood, former Kangaroos.
A Shahan favourite.
I think a Footy Focus podcast favourite. Played 65 games for the Roos, so... We'll see if he gets a chance with St Kilda. So, fingers crossed for Mason. I don't like my chances, to be honest, but we'll see.
So we're doing the Lions and the D's this week. So we'll kick off with the Lions. So how did you find the year?
Yes, so a quick summary would be they had a good year. They sort of backed up their breakout 2019 season, which is a huge tick. So they finished second on the ladder after the home and away season, 14 wins and 3 losses.
So
maybe 2 losses, actually.
I think it's 2.
Or maybe 3.
In the regular season, I think 3,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they finished second, I think, after the home and away last year too, 2019.
Mm-hmm. So a very healthy percentage of 129.9. So the pressure would have been on them to back up their 2019 for a developing side, and they did that, didn't they?
Yeah, 100%. I think the key for them was winning the final because they had the straight sex exit in 2019 and they won the first final against the Tigers. So it was the first finals win since 2009, I think. So that's about 10 years.
Yeah, it's true you say that. Otherwise, if they had lost that first final, they would have felt sort of a bit of a monkey on their back. But no, they beat Richmond in a pretty comprehensive win, even though the Tigers did come back towards the end of that game. But they did win. And they quickly touch on their best and fairest. So Neil, Lyon, McCluggage, McInerney, Zorko, Andrews, and Gardiner rounded out the top 7. So as you'd expect, dominated by the mids and a couple of their key position players.
Yeah, 100%. And they're all fairly young too. McInerney's 24. Andrews is still fairly young. He's clearly the next captain of the club when Zorko nears the end too.
Yeah, so to move on from that, what worked? And you mentioned Andrews. So the back line, I thought, was their strength this year. Yeah. So as well as their midfield. But the back line was really solid and reliable. So it was led by arguably the best key position defender.
Yeah, 100%. I think he was pretty critical that he was available for that first final. Do you think they still have an over-reliance on him? Because I think Gardiner and Payne stepped up towards the end of the year.
Yeah, they probably do, but he's pretty durable, so it's not the worst thing. And the back stocks, they're not too bad in terms of depth. So I thought Daniel Rich had a career best year as well. He was 4th in the comp for meters gained and 5th for kicks. So they like getting the ball into his hands because he's a lovely left foot kick. And Kalamachi was a revelation, wasn't he?
Yeah, another one of the Suns players that's improved his career after he's moved clubs and played 18 games.
Yeah, I think he had a bit of injuries at the Suns, but got a good run at it. as a few recruits have tended to do with the Lions. And Birchall was another one. He slotted into that hole left by Hodge.
Yeah, and he's another one, like you said, they like to get the ball in his hands too, and provides a bit of experience, 4-time premiership player. And like we mentioned before, Gardner and Payne. So I think Gardner's a bit underrated. He's not the tallest, but he does play above his size, and Payne really stepped up. I think it was the final against the Cats when Gardner got ruled out late with injury, and held his own against Dangerfield, playing down back.
Yeah, he's still young as well, and he took a number of intercept marks, I remember. And one of my favourites, I reckon, Starcevic. It was very impressive for a 21 gamer. It was just a hard at it, athletic, medium defender. So, yeah, he's one to watch.
Yeah, and I think that made it easy. We'll talk about the ins and outs later, but Alex Witherton got traded to the Eagles, and I think the emergence of Starcevic really helped that, because Witherton you would have thought was one of the untouchables even 2 years ago, probably.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about what failed for you? Maybe kick it off?
Yeah, so the second half of the prelim versus the Cats, so it was a 5-point halftime deficit at home and outscored 50-15. After the week off too, it's a hugely disappointing finish. I think it's still a pass grade for the club, but to go out that way, especially when the likes of Dangerfield didn't dominate, it was a pretty disappointing end.
Yeah, there were... What were they missing, you reckon, from that game? I know maybe Oscar McInerney was just sort of needed help in the ruck.
Yeah, I think he was down. And I think the midfield just didn't step up. I think apart from Neil, everyone would have got a fail grade for that game, including McCluggage, who's really stepped up the last couple of years.
I guess the Cats are a bit more mature and their bodies are a little bit more hardened.
More seasoned,
Yeah. So I think it'll come in time for the Lions, just with that. Playing more games, getting more experience, more conditioning into the Berries and McCluggage, these sort of guys. So, so that was what failed. And my one would be the inaccuracy up forward. So they were the least accurate team in the competition, going at 46%.
Didn't really cost them games. Like they only lost the 3 regular season games, but could have cost them against probably better sides.
Yeah, it didn't cost them as much this year. It cost them, last year.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago against Richmond in that final, it cost them because they couldn't kick straight. But if they can work on that, they'll get more confidence as a team, I reckon, and their forward line would work better. Because even though they were the third best attack in the comp, but they only kicked more goals and points 8 times.
Oh, wow. That's out of 19 games, isn't it? Yeah, 17 plus the 2 finals.
Yeah, so if they can straighten up, I think it'll go a long way just to build that confidence, and could be the difference between winning and losing a final.
Who were some of the main culprits there with the inaccuracy?
I think they had a lot, but the main 2 from the midfield was Zorko and McCluggage. So they combined for 17 goals, 36.
Oh, that's wow.
Yeah, it's crazy, yeah.
And they obviously added Danaher to the mix too. He's had his own issues in front of goal. So we'll see how that goes. And Hipwood, I think Hipwood was inaccurate last year, but I think his overall stats, I think it's 130 plus goals and 107 behind, which is not too bad, but he's a culprit there as well.
Yeah, so moving on, who deserves a pay rise?
Yep, so for me, it was Big O, Oscar McInerney, 4th in the BNF, like you mentioned, played all 19 games, took over the number 1 rock hole when Steph Martin got injured. I think there was a bit of a question whether, what would happen to the ruck stocks when that happened. But he stepped up big time. Only 26 years old, should be entering the prime of his career. Could probably clunk more inside 50 marks using his 205 centimetre frame, because I think he's one of the better contested marks in the comp, and that's probably his next step, sneaking forward and kicking some goals, because there's not many ruckmen that could match him in that space.
I'm not too sure what his endurance base is like, but I think he's got to add on a little bit more size.
Yeah, he's very skinny.
Yeah, he's still skinny, so it might make him less of that endurance athlete, but if he can do that and get around the ground well, I think he'll be dangerous. And you got Danaher and Hipwood there now as well, like to take the load off him in the ruck.
Who was your?
I had Zach Bailey as mine. I think he had a breakout year, so he came equal 9th in the BNF. And he's a small, speedy half forward. mid. He can play almost anywhere in the ground actually, and he's just very versatile. He's 183 centimeters, so he looks a little bit shorter than he is, but he's not a bad height, and he'd look to improve again next year. Maybe get a bit more than 13 touches and a game, so to increase that average and maybe hit the scoreboard a bit more.
Yeah, because 13 goals is a good effort, but you'd like him to improve.
Yeah, that's how many goals he kicked this year.
Yes, I think there's probably an over-reliance on Cameron up forward for those small forward goals.
Yeah,
it definitely takes some pressure off Cameron in that way. So who would need a big next year? For me, it's Eric Hipwood. A bit surprising, but only 10th in the BNF, so he didn't have a bad year by any stretch, but I probably just expected more from him. He's got precocious talent. Still only 23 years old, but I'd expect him to dominate the number 2 key backs with Danaher up forward now. He'll take the number 1 key back. He's 94 games into a career. Must improve his accuracy. 24 goals, 19 last year. Overall, he's doing okay, but we'll just expect a bit more and expect him to have bigger games. I think there's a big gap between his best and his worst.
Yeah, he goes missing a little bit. He had his year was pretty good. A bit more consistent than previous years, but he could improve on that again. And I think having Danaher there would be the perfect thing for him.
Yeah, 100%. So how about for you?
I had Daniel McStay. So at the moment he's the Hipwood too. At the moment, but don't think he does enough as a forward. He only kicked 11 goals from 17 games, and with Danaher coming in, he might find it hard to play that 3-prong tall forward line. Yeah. So, do you think he can play as a defender?
Yeah, I think that's an option. I think with the height of Gardner and Payne, they're probably more suited to maybe a third tall floating intercept type. So, maybe McStay finds a role there because I don't see a position for him up forward.
Yeah, McStay's got that big body, then he can take a good contested mark. So if he finds himself out of the side next year, I think there'll be Victorian clubs or any club sort of sniffing. Yeah. Because big key position players coming into their prime are hard to find.
Yep. So in terms of key players at left, so who exited the club?
Yeah, so Alan Christensen, Matt Eagles.
The recruit winner.
Yeah. Corey Lyons. Allison, Sam Skinner, who's actually training with the Kangaroos to earn a rookie spot.
He's a ruckman, is he?
Sam Skinner's a key forward.
Key forward, okay.
He had a few ACLs.
Yeah.
Toby Wooler, Steph Martin, Alex Witherton, who got traded to West Coast. And Martin went to Western Bulldogs, by the way. Yeah. And Hinge to the Crows as a delisted free agent. And Cedric Cox couldn't get a trade, but he did get delisted.
Yeah, he couldn't get back to him to WA, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And ins for the Lions, so Joe Danaher was the most obvious one as a free agent, and didn't give up anything in terms of draft picks to get him. And Nakai Cockatoo, who might be a Lincoln McCarthy career resurrection like they did from the Cats.
Yeah.
And draft in, so pick 24 was Blake Coleman.
Yeah, so this was their first pick. So, he's the brother of Kadian Coleman, an academy player. So, Kadian played a few games last year, and he was pretty impressive, I thought. So, I think Blake's sort of better than him at the same age. So, he's got some slick moves. So, hopefully, he can play some games early.
Yeah, picks 43 is Harry Sharp.
Yeah, this guy's an endurance beast. So, he broke the record for the 2-kilometre time trial. 5 minutes and 28 seconds, which is absolutely nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a crazy time.
Yeah, he's a medium midfielder. And I think the knock on him is his ball use, so it's not the best disposal. So, but they've got an endurance athlete.
And pick 44 was Henry Smith.
Yeah, so just stocking up on their ruckman, so 204 centimetre developing ruck from SA.
Yeah, and in terms of rookies, so they moved Birchall, Ballenden and Matheson onto the rookie list.
And, Cal, we'd like to
Cal Toomey,
touch on what the Brisbane Lions were trying to do behind the scenes. And, not a lot, because they didn't really have much of a hand in this draft. But they were looking to get the Magpies future first in a deal involving pick 25. But I don't think that was good enough for the Pies.
And go through the best 22 for next year.
Yeah, sure. So I might kick it off with the back line. So got Darcy Gardner, Daniel McStay, and Birchall. Daniel Rich, Andrews, and Starcevic. Centre line is McGluggage, Neil in the centre, and Robertson on the other wing. Cam Rayner, Joe Danaher, and Zorko. Charlie Cameron, Eric Hipwood, and Zach Bailey. In the rucks, got McInerney, Lyons, and Jared Berry. Interchange is Lincoln McCarthy, Cal Archie, Ryan Lester, and Nakia Cockatoo, if he can get over his injuries.
Yeah.
And just missing out in the emergencies, we got Cam Ellis-Yeoman, Jack Payne, Kadian Coleman, and Tom Berry.
Yeah, so that's a pretty deep 22. The best 18, I think, is especially good. And like we said, I think McInerney, if he can step up a little bit more, then that's, And McStay can obviously play defence. That's a pretty good 22.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Coleman boys put pressure on their forwards, do you reckon?
Yeah, well, I think Kadian got dropped for the Geelong final, I think, at the expense of Cam Ellis-Yeoman. So, you'd like to think, him and Zach Bailey can definitely take the pressure off Charlie Cameron, because I think a lot of teams are going with pacey small forwards instead of talls these days.
Mm-hmm. And I think they like Tom Berry a lot as well, because he got a few games even though he wasn't that big. And Dev Robertson's another one that could put pressure on Mitch Robinson and maybe Cal Archie as well.
Yeah, so we're missing obviously Marcus Adams from the emergency list too. You think he can get a game at some point?
If he gets his body right, he can. He's played 38 games in 5 years, so just a bonus if he's fit.
Yeah, he missed out on the Dogs flag, didn't he? And then went back home to...
I can't remember.
And he went to the Lions after. I think he missed out on the flag with the Dogs. And we've included Nakia Cockatoo, I think, just based on his talent. Because I think on his talent, he's definitely best 22. Hasn't played since early 2018. But I think they can get his body right like they did with McCarthy there.
He's a best 22 player.
Oh, yeah. He's a top 5 pick. I think...
No, he's not top 10.
Top 10 was he? Okay.
Top 10.
Well, there you go. First rounder, but...
Don't get stuff wrong.
I think Chris Scott really raves about him as well. I think, really injuries have only held him back from playing in the Geelong sides that have, been final staples the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. So, a lot has been made out about Lions' ability to get injured players up.
Yeah.
So they'll be hoping that's the case with Danaher and, Cockatoo. They couldn't do the same for Adams yet, like we talked about.
I think that's a bit of a strain. That's dragged on for a few years, but I think they're heavily stocked down back as well, so they won't miss him as much anyway.
But they got Birchall and Archie back playing fit, Lincoln McCarthy. So I think signs are good for those guys to play. I think the warmer weather might help as well up there.
100%. And I think, so for the grade for 2020, I gave them a B+. It would have been an A if they didn't fall away as much against the Cats. I think the win against the Tigers was a huge step in the right direction. They won the flag, so to beat a reigning premiers in the same season is pretty good. For me, the projection is top 4 again. I think their aim should be grand final minimum, just to improve on their result from last year. Like you said, need to improve the goal kicking. I think shoring up that number 2 key back spot after Andrews is key. And then, Danaher's body to hold up, because I think that'll take the pressure off Hipwood, because I think Hipwood is the number 2 key tools, better than most. It
could be as simple as that to make the sort of progress from being the 4th or 3rd best team into the best team. It could be simple as adding Danaher into their forward line. And because I know like teams with the least sort of personnel changes from year to year have the better chance of improvement. So there's not a lot of change to their starting 22. So I think if they have another good year with injuries as they've been having lately, then they definitely will be looking to overtake those teams like Richmond, Geelong, and push into the grand final.
100%. And I think they're probably going to get less games at home this year pending COVID restrictions too, so that might be a bit of a disadvantage as well for them. So they have to stand up away from home probably a little bit more.
Yeah, because out of the handful of games they lost, like I think they lost to Geelong. Geelong and Richmond were the couple of teams they lost to.
Geelong in Sydney, Richmond, I think Gold Coast.
Oh, I'm not too sure.
I don't think it was at the Gabba.
Yeah. So I think they're not far away. So there's not too many holes in their list, and pretty even. So no, they're right up there for a top 4 finish for mine.
Yeah, 100%. So we move on to the Ds. So summary of their year, so missed out on finals again, didn't they?
Yeah, just missed out. Finished 9th. 9 wins and 8 losses.
So the percentage was 108, but do you think that's skewed a bit by winning against non-finals teams? So they didn't really perform against the top 8, did they?
Nah. They got smashed in the first round, I think, by West Coast, and lost a few winnable games towards the back half of the year. Sydney and Freo got them. Yeah.
So in terms of their BNF, so how did...
Yeah, so they have the Keith Bluey Truscott medal. Yeah. So, I was looking into these medals, who they're named after, and some of them they're named after sort of players that went to war. And
okay.
Yeah,
not the GOAT of their club.
Yeah, no, sometimes it's a GOAT, but sometimes it's just a player that's promising, but unfortunately, died at war. So I think Truscott was one of those guys. So the winners, the top 8 was Petrarca and May, and then there was a bit of a gap. So between May and the third placed Viney, Langdon, Oliver, Gawn, Salem, and Brayshaw rounded out the top 8.
Yeah, so from there you'd probably say Track, May, Langdon probably had decent seasons. Even Viney, being third, I don't think he's form warranted. I know he's got a big contract now, but potentially Salem too. But apart from that, Gawn had a disappointing year. Oliver didn't really have a special year as well.
So what does it tell you? Maybe they just lack a bit of depth?
Yeah, I mean, that's meant to be their top 8. That's meant to be, you'd probably say that's their best 8 players. Mm-hmm. I'd probably say 3 or 4 of them have lived up to it, but the other half haven't. I think stars got to play like stars, and their ones didn't this year.
Yeah, okay. So we'll talk about what worked for them. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Petrarca was the obvious one, turned into an elite player, equal 4th in the Brownlow. Probably the only player of his type in the midfield. They've got a lot of inside bulls, but he's a burst away player and can go forward and kick a goal. Won the game against St Kilda off his own back.
It's a little bit Petrarca or bust in the midfield. I feel like, you're right. He's the only one that seems to take the risks, and sometimes more often than not, it pays off. Whereas, the Vineys and Olivers, I guess they don't have the skill set to do that. So, but if a Brayshaw could develop into that one that does take that kick, because I think he's got the skills to do so. Yeah,
I think Oliver and Viney are better suited inside, and we can talk about when they go through the best 22. A positional change perhaps to fix up disposal issues.
Yeah, and Petrarca was 4th for contested possessions in the league, 6th for score involvements, and 12th for inside 50s. So that shows you he's very attacking and
You'd like to think that's the norm for him now. He doesn't have to have a season like that, but even 80-90% of that.
I'd like to see him improve, maybe push up in a
Dusty category.
Yeah, 100%.
And we got May and Lever as well. So finally lived up to the price tags. Lever didn't have as great a year as May, but I think they both provided stability down back. Both played every game and they missed, I think, 8 each the season before that.
Yeah, that's a massive difference, isn't it? So Lever was 10th for total intercepts and also 1%ers. And May was 6th for rebound 50s and 9th for 1%ers. Yeah. So they just work perfectly as a partnership, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a different list strategy. They've put a lot of money into the centre-half back and the full-back, and whether that works, whether you should put money elsewhere, that's probably up for discussion. But they definitely...
Yeah, they sort of sacrificed the key position forward for that.
Yeah. And Jesse Hogan,
Well, and Ben King, if you want to look at it.
100%.
Look at it that way.
So what failed? So for me, it was the season-killing losses to non-final sides, Freo and the Swans, who, at that stage, it was a dead rubber for those teams, and Demons had a lot to play for, and they lost both games. I'd probably add the other winger position too. Like Adam Tomlinson was meant to be, big name, not a big name recruit, but
well, he's never been a good kick, so he wasn't as good. I don't know. He's a bit like a little bit of a better version of Mason Wood.
Well, Langdon stepped up. Like Langdon had a decent year, but maybe Tomlinson needs to go down back or.
Yeah, just that skill, huh? Like that's what I thought during the trade period. Like someone like Polak could have been pretty good for them. Like just that outside class to complement your inside midfielders. And then the Jaden Hunt thing hasn't really worked as a winger. I don't know if he's played wing much, but
I think they've tried him there, but I think he's mainly up forward. But he has the attributes to be that player. But disposal probably lets him down. Yeah,
so just another annoying season, I suppose. Yeah. And I guess probably being a bit harsh, but maybe guys like Cosy Pickett and Charlie Spargo could have just hit the scoreboard a bit.
Yeah.
I know they're still young and will sort of maybe struggle against the bigger bodied defenders until they get a bit more match hardened. But sometimes they're a little bit inaccurate. They could have hit the scoreboard.
We talked about their midfield mix. I think that's another failure for them. Do you think Oliver, Viney and Brayshaw can all play in the midfield at the same time?
It's, probably a bit slow, isn't it, when you read that? I know Brayshaw's got a little bit of zip. So I mean, you could, because I know speed is a bit overrated, I think. Like, when Geelong were up and going in their heyday, they only had a couple of fast players, like Ablett and maybe... just a couple. And maybe, like, Motlop, if he was one of them. But you don't need a lot. You just need to move the ball quickly. But, but I think they could do it, but they just got to have better ball use than what Oliver sort of shows.
I think that's okay. And they're all spread pretty poorly too. And I think none of those players can really rotate forward. Oliver potentially with his height, but you haven't really seen him there. So
a bit more versatility, you reckon?
Yeah, I think just there. Like you can't have three similar types in the midfield at the same time, especially with Petrarca in there. So we'll talk about who deserves a pay rise.
Yeah, okay. So I've got Bailey Fritsch as mine. So I really like Bailey. So he's a good size at 188 centimeters, and he's still pretty young, just turned 24. Yeah. And he's just so dangerous whenever I see him and watch the Demons play. So if nothing's happening, it's normally he who that bobs up and takes a good mark and goes back and kicks a goal. He's only missed a handful of games since debuting as well, so I think he can only get better.
Yep. So you think he's the third key forward / utility type?
Yeah, he almost does play like that, but he's good at ground level as well, so it doesn't mind a crumb. And with the addition of Brent Brown, I think it would also help take the load of him.
Yeah, 100%, because it's really only been him, Wiedemann and McDonald really playing key forward up the last couple of years. And for me, it was Christian Salem, so I think he's the best ball user down back. We've moved him onto a wing in the best 22. I think that might be needed with Tomlinson not working there. Could probably improve his inside forward efficiency of the whole club just straight away by him being in the midfield. And he's only 25 and 104 games in as well.
Yeah. I'd like to see him take a bit more risks, I think, with his kicking. So just back himself and do what Petrarca does. I know maybe he doesn't have the penetration as Petrarca, but he's one that has that skill set to hit a target and make something happen.
Yeah. So who needs a big 2021?
So I thought Jake Melksham had a poor year by his standard because prior to this, his last few years, I think he's been pretty good. He's been a good goal kicker.
Yeah, hits the scoreboard a fair bit.
Yeah, and I think he's got a bit of leadership quality as well. So, again, maybe like Bailey Fritsch, having Ben Brown there can help him sort of find a bit more space potentially and get a mismatch and kick a goal. So, I think he's one that's got to have a decent year for Melbourne to push, because you can't just rely on their stars to get them over the line every week.
Yeah, you need the second level to push through. So for me, it's Sam Wiedemann, pick 9 from the 2015 draft.
He had a good year though. It's a bit harsh.
So he was in. It's a bit like the Hipwood one. So he was in favour at selection by the end of the season. I think they preferred McDonald initially. Yeah, he's got much needed traits that the club does lack. He's a great contested mark and set shot converter. 46 goals, 25 so far in his career. Yeah, like you said, the Brown addition should lessen the load on him as well. Mm-hmm. He's only played 44 games too, so you'd like to think I think he'd probably get the number 2 key back as well. He should have a decent year, and I think whether he plays centre half forward or Ben Brown does, up for discussion. But I think they both should have pretty good years because they've got 2 decent key forwards now.
Yeah, and I reckon having Brown there will definitely help him because he's going to attract that spare to come and help chop out Brown. So maybe Wiedemann again can find some space at the back or on the fat side and really develop and have another breakout year.
Yeah. So key players that left didn't have any ins but outs.
Oh, they had ins. They had Brown as an in, and also Hannon came in from the Dogs. So
yes, trade.
He's another type, like a Melksham and Fridge type. So they've got quite a few of them now down there.
Yeah, similar type. So outs we've got Cole Dunkley. Didn't end up at the Dons, did he, with his brother? That was meant to, but that was the talk, wasn't it? So Corey and Josh Wagner, Harley Burnell. So that was disappointing because just a waste of a talent with all of his injuries. Yeah, Mitch Hannon, like you said, and Braden Proust.
Oh, Mitch Hannon, we got him in the wrong.
Oh, he went. He went to the Dogs. So he's out. Yeah,
you're right.
So Braden Proust went to GWS too.
Yeah. Did they get anyone else traded in, or was that it? It was just Brown, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was just Brown. No, a lot of outs for the club. So draft ins, pick 21, Jack Bowie.
Yeah, so they had pick 21 and 22, so similar sort of players they picked. So Bowie was the 175 centimetre small forward mid, and that just adds to their stocks with Pickett and Spargo and Bedford and these type of guys. So it's a bit of a small player, but he's uses the ball well, and maybe a bit like Caleb Daniel with his sort of foot skills.
Okay, that's good. If we move Salem to the midfield, could use someone back there.
I don't think he can play early on though, because I think he's pretty light on, so it might take. And with the big boys, as we know, it's really hard to see any of them playing outside. Maybe the ones in the top bracket, just because of the lost year.
Yeah, they really had an 18th year, have they?
No.
Pick 22, Bailey Laurie.
Yeah, so he's a little bit bigger than Jake at 179 centimeters. And otherwise similar sort of traits, which are good efficiency with the ball, doesn't waste them much, makes things happen quick, smart, and could add that point of difference through the mid, pushing into the wing area. So again, it's hard to say, but he's probably the more likely out of the two to play any games at this stage, I would think.
Okay. Pick 34, Fraser Rosman.
Yes, so 172 centimeter utility type. So I think he played wing, reading the profiles and what the experts had to say. But he's got some speed and X factor type player with some outside run. So could, if he develops, he could be that perfect sort of winger.
Yeah. And inside wheel from the draft guru.
Yeah, so. Yeah, Cal's inside word was Ryan Angwin was on the D's radar, and but he got picked by I think GWS before their picks, and the Crows were keen on doing a trade with their picks 18 and 28 for the Demons 22 and 23, as the Crows were keen on Laurie.
Okay.
Would you have done that if you were Melbourne? Like trade 22 and 23 for 18 and 28?
It's a bit of a wash, I think, unless they really rated Angwin. It seems a bit... 22 and 23 probably is more draft points than 18 and 28 combined as well.
Yeah, I reckon it's a good thing they kept onto it. I think that you can get two players equal quality to what you could get with pick 18. Yeah. So, I think the D's did the right thing.
And any other training... spot additions?
Oh, yeah, I saw in an article Kobe Farmer.
WA?
From Peel Thunder. So I think he's the son of Jeff Farmer.
Oh, okay, yep.
I didn't have that there. But I saw that. So he's training with him, trying to get a draft list spot after he was overlooked in the draft.
If he's a small forward like his dad, you've got him and Pickett moving forward too. Pretty exciting.
Yeah. So do you want to take us through the best 22 we have for the Ds?
So we got backline, Michael Hibberd, Stephen May, Jake Lockhart. Halfback, Trent Rivers, Jake Lever, Adam Tomlinson. Wings, we've moved Christian Shailen there. Angus Brayshaw, Ed Langdon. Half forward, Bailey Fritsch, Sam Wiedemann, James Himes. Forward pocket, Kazai Pickett, Ben Brown, so the recruit, and Jake Melksham. Followers, we've got Max Gorn in the ruck, Clayton Oliver and Christian Petrarca. Interchange, Jack Viney, Luke Jackson, Jaden Hunt, and Charlie Spargo. And with the emergencies, there's probably two options there, isn't there?
Yeah, well, having a look at the emergencies, it's quite a diverse sort of range because they've got a few experienced players that have missed out.
So you got, Tom McDonald, obviously we've talked about. Mitch Brown, who's been around for a while. I think he's still on an AFL list. I think he's got some good attributes. Nathan Jones as well, and Neville Jetta.
Yeah, maybe a bit harsh on Jetta because he was sort of in that All-Australian convo a few years ago. But he didn't really play amazing footy.
Yeah, he wasn't really in the best 22 by the end of the season too.
But I think guys like Oscar Baker, Vandenberg, Marty Hoare, Alex Neil Bullen need to push up and put pressure on the starting 22 and not the Nathan Jones and these sort of guys for them to take the next step.
Yeah, it's a bit similar to Carlton. Like, you wouldn't want Eddie Betts playing all the games like they let go of. So you want Nathan Jones being in the best 22 ideally. That means you've got youngsters underneath pushing up, and same with Neville Jetta too. I think the issue is probably Tom McDonald, whether they can find a spot for him. Because you've got May and Lever down back and Brown and Wiedemann up forwards. Maybe he probably doesn't have the attributes to play wing, but...
Yeah, and they've also got guys like Sparrow, Chandler, Bedford, did we mention? Yeah, so these sort of guys that haven't played... They've played a bit of footy, like I've seen them play a few times, but you need a couple of them to sort of take the next step and maybe have a breakout year and sort of push for that starting 22.
So the Tigers are probably the best example of that, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, guys like Lambert, Short, who else? They stood up.
Yeah, it really emerged as AFL players and stars as well.
Yeah, and that was the difference between them sort of treading water and pushing into top four and challenging and winning premierships.
Yeah, 100%. So grade for 2020, so it's a D for mine. Yeah, can't give them a pass mark. I think the list is good enough to play finals. Projection for next year, I think I'm tipping finals. I think it should be the bare minimum expectation. It's loaded with quality, especially in the tools department. And if Gorn can have another good year, just didn't have a great year last year, especially with Ben Brown, who's a proven 60 goal a year forward.
Yeah. So again, a team that hasn't changed a lot from last year to this year. So they added Brown. Hopefully Luke Jackson can develop and Pickett can get stronger and hit the scoreboard a bit. And if all this adds up and also Brown can have another good year, like you said. And I think he can with the extra space on the MCG. More room to lead into. And the defense is sort of pretty solid.
Yeah, I think Lockhart and Rivers have got them both in the best 22, so if they can continue just to take steps forward, and it's probably just that other wing role as well. So if Salem can fill that hole, Petrarca can at least have the same kind of year.
Yeah, that little bit of class through the middle is probably what's lacking. Maybe Laurie can come in and be that efficient kick to a leading Ben Brown or something. But I think they've got everything there. It's just got to click, and if that happens, I can see them definitely easily making top 8.
Yeah, 100%. So, it's the review. So we welcome the feedback as always.
Yeah, no, it's been fun to do it. I'm looking forward to see Ben Brown help the Demons get into finals again, and Danaher. It's funny how that worked out. Danaher and Brown being sort of two players that debuted at the same time in tracking, and now we did have reviews for them in different colours and hoping they help their new teams to greatness.
Yeah, 100%, because they're both all Australian quality forwards too. So you'd like to think that too. So we'll...
one cost
exactly.
pick 30 and the other was pick 7 or something.
So it's big difference there. So we'll talk about the compo later, but it's a huge difference, I think.
Yeah, no, but it's been good doing the review. So do a couple of other teams next week.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll call it out. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.